Hello and welcome. I don't know about you, but I just feel like I'm struggling to turn my brain off lately. And this seems to be a recurring pattern. It's extremely frustrating. Like, I sit down to rest on the weekend, but something pops into my mind. I'm like, oh, I'll just check it really quick. It could be as simple as like, I want to go outside. What's the weather? And so I pull out my phone and I'm checking the weather. And before I know it, it's an hour later, and I got sucked down a rabbit hole of checking my email. Then I'm Googling something, and then I'm just back to checking my email for some reason, thinking that something would have popped up in the last few minutes, even though it's the weekend and I'm not working. It is so frustrating because I want to rest. I could tell my body is craving rest. But every time I sit down, I'm like, great, I got a moment. I got an hour. Let me just pull out my book and read, which is something I love to do. But I sit down and my mind just keeps going and going. So I can't focus on my book. I find other ways to distract myself. And suddenly I got no rest because I decided to do a million other things. And I think the most frustrating part is it's not even like I'm doing productive things. It's not like, oh, let me go do this. It's necessary. It's a responsibility. Like, I must get this done. It's just like filling a gap of keeping busy because my mind wants to keep busy. And the hardest part, I think, is I know exactly why I'm doing this. I know I can't just sit there and relax because there's some fear of what happens when I actually rest, when I take that break. And I'm avoiding the quiet. I've done enough internal work to really understand that I have such a fear of what happens if I start slowing down. And I want to bring this up because I feel so many of us feel that way. We've been so conditioned and taught and told that success requires working hard, working 24/7, hustling, working the extra hours, doing all that we can to create success, be valuable, be the team player, be that leader that people look up to. And when we take that moment of rest, that vacation, or just simply 20 minutes you have free on the weekend, our brain instantly like, oh, no, this isn't safe. I can't just sit here and do nothing. I got to keep going because how am I going to sustain my success? Or simply, how am I going to reach that next level of success? And so our brain wants to protect us and keep us safe. And for me, it's like that safety comes from knowing I'm doing something, I'm working towards my goals. I feel important, like I'm doing something. And that is safer than just sitting there. Because if I'm just sitting there, I'm not doing. And if I'm not doing, it's all going to fall apart. And as silly as that sounds, I've talked to so many women who feel the same exact way. And that's why I wanted to share that today. This feeling of if you're not constantly producing, performing, showing up, doing something productive, somehow that's reflective on our value. And if we're not seen as valuable, we're not, I don't want to say useless because I know that's not true. It's just somehow we're not as important. And if we're not seen as valuable and important, no one's going to pay attention to us. We're not going to get the clients. We're not going to get the promotion. Our team's not going to listen to us. And all of those, when you verbally say them, sound so silly, but we're so ingrained that we have to constantly be doing something that it's really hard to shut off. I know all of us are here. We've worked hard to get to where we're at. And that hard work has paid off. But you get to a point where like you just want to step back a little bit. Like, okay, I'm making some money. Things are moving along. I could take a break. But we've been in this mode of constant hustle that it's really hard to shut off. And it could be in simple things too, like watching TV at night. I somehow just can't sit there and watch a show. Like I have to be multitasking. Like I'm on my phone reading something, checking emails, also watching the show, which is just compounding the issue because our brains aren't exactly wired to do a million things as much as we want them to. So suddenly, something like watching my favorite show that used to be fun is not as fun anymore because I'm doing a bunch of things on the side and I can't just be present and in the moment enjoying the show. Or other times, like I love exercise. I try to go on walks daily if I can't fit in a full exercise routine. And I noticed suddenly over the past few months, my walks turned into another way to be productive. I went on the walk because I know how much the fresh air and just being outside clears my mind. But suddenly I'm like, okay, well, I don't necessarily need to just be focusing on walking. I could walk and multitask. So suddenly I have something in my ear. I'm listening to a podcast or catching up on the phone with someone. Instead of just giving myself that time to just be. And that is really, I keep using the word frustrating, but it's just so frustrating because all these things that I used to enjoy just for fun, relaxing, reading a book, going for a walk, taking a vacation are so difficult sometimes because I've been so trained to constantly producing something, creating some outcome that has a positive effect. And it's a way to keep me safe. I get that. But it's just all based on this fear of like what happens when I fully allow myself to just lean back and relax. And I think that is the hardest part. We 100% know how to relax. We could all sit down and do nothing. But to actually deeply give our bodies that time to actually rest is the hardest part. We could sit here and do nothing, but if our mind is going 100 miles an hour, thinking of what we need to do, what just happened, the conversation we just had that didn't maybe go as well, that thing that happened 2 months ago that somehow you're still dwelling on, and all those future things you need to accomplish, the person you need to reach back out to, the performance review you need to do, the whatever it is, we're so focused on what just happened and what we need to do in the future. We're struggling to just be in the moment. And right now, I am somewhat in the middle of constantly having my mind going and being able to just relax. It's this messy middle of just letting things be as they are. You know, I don't need to always be useful to be valuable. I don't need to be constantly productive. And everything I do doesn't need to lead to a specific result. And I think this is the hardest part. It's one thing to know I need to rest and actually rest, but it's this really changing how I'm operating because I know when I give myself these times to rest, refresh, fill my cup back up, that is when I show up more powerful. But it's actually prioritizing it, making it happen, and really allowing myself to rest. I don't want this to just be something that pops up again in a few months. I want to actually really train myself that rest is safe. And I want you to have the same thing. I bring this up because I think this is so important for so many of us that this is not something that's a quick fix. Some of these things that make huge life changes for our well-being, but overall just our success in work and how we feel about our day. The more that you're aware of what you're doing, if you're happy with it, I mean, maybe you're perfectly happy hustling 24/7. So keep doing that. But if you're like me and you're really craving this space to just turn off, awareness is the first step. It's not about fixing yourself. There's nothing wrong. It's just making daily little adjustments and bring this awareness to it so you could choose differently. Because once you're aware of what is happening, when it pops up again, you're like, wait, oh, I'm going to choose differently. And that's what I'm doing every day. When it's time for lunch, I am giving myself an actual lunch break. I'm not working through it. It is hard, but it feels so good after just to actually sit down and get away from the computer and have a lunch, looking outside, getting outside, taking a walk, whatever it is. just really nourishes me. And then after lunch, I'm able to come back 10 times stronger. It's just little adjustments. So I just want to have this conversation today to let you know that this is something I think so many of us struggle with. We shouldn't have to keep running 24/7, draining our energy to create success. We could create success with rest and ease mixed in. And that is what I'm here to tell you is possible. Until next time, keep rebelling, keep rising.